Google Gemini's new free updates are insane, and today I'm going to walk you through every single one of them. It's been a really busy week for Gemini, and they've just dropped the biggest AI updates to Maps, Docs, Sheets, and Chrome all at the same time. And if you use Google every day, your phone, your browser, your documents, everything just changed. We're talking about 6 massive updates that rolled out this week. Google Maps can now hold a full conversation with you. So you can see an example of how it works right here. And basically the way you use Google Maps is very different now. So there's something called Ask Maps, which is a new way for you to ask anything about anywhere with help from the latest Gemini models. So let's get straight into this. You can see an example of how it works right here. And they've talked about how they are reimagining Maps with Gemini. So essentially you can now ask Maps, for example, okay, where can I find this? How can I get help from that? Blah, blah, blah. And you can ask anything about any place. And this basically helps you get help in real time from Google Maps. So here's an example of Ask Maps in action. So it's using an AI inside Google Maps, and then you can get help and support in real time, right? So for example, if you're planning a trip and you ask, I'm headed to the Grand Canyon, Horseshoe Bend, and Coral Dunes, any recommended stops along the way, you'll get clear directions, ETAs, and insider tips from real people, right? So basically planning out your route with Google Maps is easier than ever before. And this is a huge update that rolled out to millions of people. Here's another example right here, right? So this is an interesting one. If you're driving around or you're about to go driving or something like that, well, the map comes to life with a vivid 3D view that reflects the buildings, overpasses, and terrain around you, right? So here's an example of it in action. It's very immersive in terms of navigation, and it's one of the biggest transformations of the navigation experience inside Google Maps. So some huge updates to Google Maps, as you can see right here. And this immersive navigation has already started rolling out across the US, and the availability is expected to expand over the coming months to iOS and Android devices, and all sorts of cool stuff, right? So here's another example of what it looks like, and it's like a 3D game almost, but it's real life and it's Google Maps generated with AI. Super powerful update, and that is just one of them, okay? So let's talk about this. Now, first of all, you might be asking, what even is Google AI? So Google is one of the biggest technology companies in the world. You probably use it every day to search for things on the internet. But now Google is building something much more powerful, which is artificial intelligence, right? And AI is like teaching a computer to think, read, and understand things, just like a human does. Now, Google's AI is Gemini. And Gemini is like a super smart helper that lives inside your phone, computer, and apps. This week, Google made Gemini even more powerful and released it in 6 big ways. So we've talked about Google Maps, but essentially the app that you use to get directions can now think and answer more complex questions. So the 2 biggest features are Ask Maps, where you can type or speak complex questions. It uses AI to understand what you actually want, and you can interact with it, and it reads millions of reviews and location data instantly. It's perfect for trip planning, restaurant hunting, and travel questions. And the next update is the navigation update. So this is immersive navigation, and instead of just arrows on a flat map, you now see a 3D view of your route. It shows you exactly what buildings, streets, and landmarks look like, and it's way easier to follow than old school turn-by-turn directions. Next up, we have the Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Drive updates. Now, this was a big one too. Basically, what happened here is that inside Google Docs, for example, if we open up a new document, you can see that we have this section at the bottom that says write a document. Now, if we, for example, say, okay, write a document about the AI Profit Boardroom, my AI automation community, we can paste that in like so, and that'll begin to start collecting information from Google Drive and my Gmail, because it's all linked inside my Google account to generate the outputs, right? Now, this is not just on Google Docs, it's on Sheets, Slides, and Google Drive, right? So Google Workspace, the set of apps millions of businesses use for documents, spreadsheets, and presentations, now has Gemini directly inside it. And you can see that it's actually come up and automated a full breakdown right here. Right? And so what does this mean? Well, imagine you're writing a business proposal in Google Docs. Instead of staring at a blank page, you type what you need and Gemini writes the first draft for you. So in Google Sheets, Gemini can now look at your numbers and explain what they mean in plain English. In Google Slides, it can create entire presentations from scratch with just one sentence. In Google Drive, it can search through all your files and show you exactly what you need. So the big changes here are like Google Docs writes first drafts for you. In Google Sheets, it explains complex formulas and automates spreadsheet layouts. In Google Slides, it can build out the actual creative. And then in Google Drive, you've got Smart Search across all your files. So that's the update number 2. And then update number 4 is the Gemini Embedding 2. This is an AI that understands everything at once, right? Now, this is quite an interesting one. If you've never seen this before, let me talk you through it here. So essentially, Gemini Embedding 2 is the first natively multimodal embedding model, right? So for example, if you're using this inside OpenClaw, well, think of it like a translator, right? So when you show a computer a photo, it doesn't see it like you do, right? An embedding model turns that photo into numbers the computer can understand. Before, you needed different AI models for photos, for text, for audio and video and everything else. But main thing is here that with Gemini Embedding, this is a way of just doing this all in one go, right? It's a natively multimodal model. So what's new here? Well, Gemini Embedding 2 understands all of these in one single model. So text, images, videos, audio, documents, right? Now, why does this matter? Well, imagine you're searching your company's files and the AI can search through your videos, your documents, your photos, and audio recordings all at once. You wouldn't lose as much information. You wouldn't waste hours searching for that information you were trying to find from like 6 months ago, right? This is really a big improvement for content creators, agencies, large teams. I know that OpenClaw even embedded it recently inside one of their recent updates, which means that OpenClaw can now search through your chat conversation and look for example, previous images you've generated and that sort of thing, or audio messages and that. So it impacts everything, even though it sounds a little bit boring, right? Embedding model doesn't sound that fun, but it actually is a big improvement. So next up, let's talk about this. So there are some spend caps for the Gemini API, right? So you can just set a maximum amount that you want to spend, which is not a big deal, to be honest, but that's a quick one. And then finally, Gemini is now inside Google Chrome, right? So what happened here is Gemini is now built directly inside the Google Chrome browser on desktop computers. Now it's rolling out to signed in people across India, New Zealand, and Canada. More countries and mobile support is coming as well. But the main point here is if we have a look here, for example, you can see that this is beginning to roll out on desktop across many different regions, right? So whilst you're browsing the internet, that means that, for example, Gemini can summarize any web page in seconds. It could answer questions about what you're reading, help you write emails, replies or comments, explain complicated articles in simple language, and research topics without leaving your tab. So the browser used to be a window to the web. Now it's a window to intelligence, as the Google Chrome team said. So for business owners, this means your team can now research faster, write faster, and make decisions faster without leaving their browser. No extra tools needed. Now, if you want to implement all of this stuff, we actually have a 30-day business implementation roadmap inside the notes from today. I also have 100 prompts and use cases, for example, for Google Sheets, Google Docs, etc. So if you're wondering, okay, like how can I actually implement this? How can I save myself time? Well, that's basically how you can do it using these prompts in the 30-day roadmap inside the video notes from today in the AI Profit Boardroom. So we are not just in the age of artificial intelligence, we are in the age of artificial advantage, and the businesses who act now will be the ones who win. Google just made AI faster, smarter, cheaper, and more accessible than ever before. Every single one of these updates saves you time or resources. The business that implements this in the next 30 days will be months ahead of their competition, and the ones who wait will be playing catch up. So the question isn't whether to use AI, the question is how fast can you start? So if you want all of the video notes from today, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, or just go to the AIprofitboardroom.com. This is my AI automation community that's focused on helping you save time, grow, and learn AI automation. You can jump inside the community here and ask questions, get help and support, meet some awesome people. You can also go inside the calendar and jump on weekly coaching calls. The other thing that I was going to say is that you get access to my best trainings inside the classroom, and you can meet people locally using the map right here. Inside the classroom, you'll get access to my trainings on, for example, how to go from beginner to expert with AI automation in just 5 weeks, and how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. You'll also get my best playbooks for automating AI avatar videos, Instagram, shorts, newsletters, Twitter, etc. And then additionally, you'll get my daily updates inside this section, right? So you, for example, get my 6-hour course on OpenClaw, another 3-hour course right here. We do daily updates and new video tutorials and step-by-step guides on the most important updates that come out each day. And it's a very, very active community with new trainings added every single day, so you never fall behind again. Additionally, inside the agency course, you can learn how to get more clients. You can watch about the coaching calls if you miss them live. You can learn how to rank #1 with AI SEO. And you can also learn how to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me with AI. So that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Thanks for watching.